We already know we love the newer F-150s, but there's some changes for 2018, and let's see if we can like it even more. Technology is a key throughout this F-150, and you can see there's a parking sensor on the side. You've got cameras under the mirrors, camera on the front, sensors everywhere. This is a really connected vehicle, which is pretty impressive for a truck. These new Fords have an all aluminum construction, really a ton of strength built throughout this whole chassis, but there's also a ton of convenience. And check this out, a soft open for the tailgate. There's a convenient step here. Not only that, something to hold yourself up as you go up. Really doesn't get any easier getting up into the bed. Not only are there some differences in the 2018, but there's one key difference that I want to point out in this F-150. We're going to have to hop inside to see what that is though. The last couple times we've tested one of these F-150s, it's had the V6 EcoBoost engine, which is a fantastic engine. But just by the sound, I'm going to let you guess what engine this one has. That's right, 8 cylinders. As good as that EcoBoost is, that sounds a lot better. There's no way the fuel mileage is as good with this V8 as with the EcoBoost, but when you hear that sound, you don't really care all that much. There's just something about a V8. And really with all of the manufacturers across all of the platforms going to V6 twin turbos, even as high as Formula One, those engines are now V6 twin turbos. It seems like the new formula for everything is V6 turbo. To have just a normally aspirated V8 in the front of this pickup truck, there's something nostalgic about it that I'm really digging. But you don't give up any of the technology. This thing is absolutely packed top to bottom with technology. So this is kind of maybe the best of both worlds. We hope that it's not the last of a breed, but you know, as things go, these V8s might go away. It'll be real sad. Our test truck here, it has the platinum trim, and again, there's a lot of luxury sedans that would be envious of the amount of features that you have in here. Not only do you have heated and cooled and massaging seats, you've got high-end audio, which used to be Sony. Ford has switched over to Bang & Olufsen for their high-end stereos. This is now one of the best sounding stereos that you can get in any car, let alone a pickup truck. Bang & Olufsen spent hundreds of hours testing this system in each different cab configuration. You've got this giant glass moonroof. You've got every active safety feature you can imagine. There's lane assist, emergency braking, radar cruise. This thing will even park itself. You hit a button and it'll parallel park itself. Just the amount of technology they have in here is the same amount that you would find in one of the top European luxury sedans. And this is a pickup. The other thing you get in here that's the same as those large luxury sedans is rear seat legroom. There's as much legroom in the back seat of this as there would be in some of the long wheelbase versions of some of the luxury sedans. So in terms of using this every day, this is a truck that you can drive every day and be just as comfortable in some of the most luxurious cars you can get. But you can also take it off-road, and we did just that. One of the biggest differences between obviously a truck and a luxury sedan is the ride. This is definitely doesn't have the ride of a luxury sedan, but luxury sedan also can't tow the same amount of weight that this can. So again, all of the creature comforts, but then a whole different set of capabilities. There's also a ton of convenience here. Obviously a ton of outlets. You've got 2 USB, a 12-volt plug, and a 110-volt outlet here, 2 more USBs, another 110 in the back. There's really, you can plug anything in this. There's tons of storage space as well. Really a lot of convenience in the cockpit. We've tested quite a number of Ford pickups now of this new generation. Really haven't seen any quality issues. The first indication we have of any issues is the switch for the cruise control and the infotainment control on the left side of the steering wheel is loose here. You know, that obviously could be a problem with this model. It might be a pre-production or something like that, but it's really the first indication we've had of any quality issues. There's nothing particularly off-road about the configuration of this F-150. This is kind of the basic setup as far as suspension goes. It doesn't have the off-road package, and it's certainly not a Raptor. But this kind of took everything we could throw at it. We did climbs, we did uneven surfaces, we did low traction sand. Really everything that we tried, this thing did it with flying colors, and we've tested some other vehicles under the same conditions, that actually couldn't do the same things that this truck can, and they were supposedly off-road vehicles. So Ford really has done a lot with the design of the suspension, and you have to imagine that the Raptor now, having been out for a number of years, has influenced the suspension design and tuning of all the Ford pickup. As you might expect with this four-wheel drive selector, you've got two-wheel high, four-wheel high, and four-wheel low. But there's another one in between here, four-wheel auto. When we use this off-road, it was really amazing because it would adapt to the situation you're in. It's an automatic transfer case. It only kicks in when needed. And you would think, well, that's not going to catch up fast enough, but it really does. It senses the wheel slip, kicks in, puts you into four-wheel drive. You can drive in that mode and not have to worry about it. Also, a number of selectable drive modes on the side of the gear shift here. It lets you select between normal, tow haul, snow, eco, and sport mode. And each one has a unique set of engine, transmission calibrations. Really adapts the vehicle for whatever you're using it for. The tow haul mode, it's going to keep it in a low gear for going down hills. The sport mode is going to hold each gear a little bit longer into higher RPM. Eco mode is going to save as much gas as possible. You've got auto start stop. When you stop at the lights, this thing shuts off and gets going automatically when you touch the gas again. So tons of, again, technology packed into this truck. Having a 6-speed automatic was about the highest number of gears you could get. Now, there have been 7 speeds and 8 speeds. Last year, Ford came out with a 10-speed automatic transmission for these trucks. And let me tell you, it always is in the right gear. This thing has got a ratio to choose for every situation. It really kind of transforms the truck from having that feeling where, you know, it's not quite in the right gear, it doesn't have the power when you touch the throttle, to really snapping to attention when you want to do something with it. It's really right there when you need it. And of course, 10th gear is going to be a really high gear ratio, so you get really amazing fuel mileage on the highway. This V8 has almost 400 horsepower, and you definitely can tell this thing is really quick. And when I say good fuel mileage, I mean this is rated at 1723. We're really seeing more like 17 average, and we've taken it both highway and city and off-road. So on a long road trip, yeah, you might tick it over 20, but again, to have almost 400 horsepower under the hood, have that V8 sound, 5,000 pounds of towing capacity, and as much space as you have here, getting 20 miles per gallon is pretty impressive. We've also got pretty incredible interior finishes. Not only do you have all the luxury features, but you've got some nice leather-like material on top of the dash here, some raw wood inserts in the door and on the dash. There's some cheaper plastic feeling pieces, but overall, the interior has a great luxury feel, which you would expect for a truck that costs over $60,000. But when you consider what $60,000 buys you in a sedan, you get a whole lot for your money with this truck. This 10-speed automatic also has a manual mode, and if you're going to have a manual mode, it should stick to manual. In other words, you could put it right on the rev limiter and keep it there. We've driven a lot of sports cars that don't even do that, but this F-150 will actually run right up against the rev limiter and hold it there. It's a little slow to react. That's our only complaint about it. Like when you rev all the way to the red line and hit it, a little bit of a lag. It's not as quick shifting as we'd like, but again, it's a true manual mode, which is helpful when you're towing, when you're stuck, when you're off-roading. You want to keep it in a gear. You want to be able to lug the engine or rev the engine as needed. Another cool feature here is this 360 cam. It's got an overhead view, it's got cameras all around that does a composite view. You've got grid lines so you can see where the corners of everything are. You know, with this big of a vehicle, especially if you're trying to drive it around town, you know, you're gonna need that. We even used it off-road. You know, if you're on a tight part of the trail, you can use it to see what obstacles are around you. It's really pretty impressive. If you need to parallel park this F-150, not only does it have automatic parking, but it has these grid lines with the 360 cam. So as you line up to a parking spot, if there's another car or a sign or something, you can see exactly where that lines up with the front of the vehicle. It helps you figure out if you can fit in a spot or not. We really didn't think it would be possible to like the F-150 any more than we did, but refining features like the stereo system, adding different features throughout the cabin, all of the convenience and technology that you have, coupled with this thundering V8, makes this one of our favorite F-150s that we've tested to date, and just shows that you can get everything in a truck that you'd ever want, even in a luxury car.